money. Greenbacks were a fiat currency that the government printed itself, and they were in circulation until 1994.
They try to control the economy with interest rates and all that.
They create inflation and depression for a very specific reason, which is to steal everybody's stuff. What happened in the 20s? They lent out lots of money, and then they called in all debts and created a depression.
Right.
Man-made. What did they just do? They lent out tons of money, and then they called it all in and took everybody's stuff. There is no reason for that to exist. Andrew Jackson knew that. Abraham Lincoln knew that. James Garfield knew that. They shot him in his presidential inaugural address.
They didn't have a Federal Reserve with Lincoln?
No. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913. And there have been multiple times in the history of this country in which we've had a privatized currency. And there have been many attempts to get rid of it, and then they try and get it back, they get rid of it, try and get it back. James Garfield, in his presidential inauguration, said
I'm not sure that's the fine. I think the problem is
if you understand
deregulation.
If you understand who owns money is in absolute power of all industry and commerce, and if you understand that power is concentrated in the hands of a very few powerful men, you'll begin to understand inflation and depression. And they shot him 2 weeks later. And the Bank of England is the same thing. That's why this is going on worldwide. This isn't isolated to the United States of America. It's going on in Greece, in Italy, in China, everywhere. This financial crisis that is created by the bankers. So this whole thing is created by banks, basically. Banks own everybody's currency because they figured out if you own the currency, who cares who the politician is, and they can do whatever they want. So the Federal Reserve, basically Article 8 of the Constitution, gives our government the right to gives our government the right to print money, basically. And in 1913, we leased that right to the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal and has no reserve. And they're like a parasite. What they basically do is the government creates money, or they create a bond. The Federal Reserve takes that bond, chops it up, and then using fractional reserve banking, makes interest off of all of that. The only reason why we have an income tax is to pay the interest on our own currency. What the hell is that?
We have income tax to pay bills. The country has bills.
But the reason why the country has bills and can't pay off its debt is because we own interest on our own currency. Why do we have interest on our currency? It's our currency.
Unfortunately, we're borrowing it from China.
No, we're borrowing from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is selling it to China. We're not borrowing from China.
We're borrowing money from China.
The Federal Reserve is selling our economy to whoever will take it. Yeah. And China is buying it because China is manually creating their currency lower than ours so they can export things. They're very smart about it.
That I'm very aware of.
Yeah. And the fact that the Federal Reserve is private. It has no reserve and it's not federal.
Anybody got a pen at all?
Yeah.